Tonight, I want to take some time to celebrate our accomplishments as a Girl Scout Council in 2019. But I also want to look forward and talk about two things that are at the forefront of our work together right now and in the year ahead. I want to talk to you about how Girl Scouts will engage in the long-term work to become an anti-racist organization by redoubling our efforts to be more diverse, more equitable, and more inclusive. I also want to talk about how COVID has challenged and changed Girl Scouting and the impact that it will have on Girl Scouting in the year ahead. Let's start with some good news. In 2019, Girl Scouts continued to make Greater Atlanta a better place through acts of service. More than 28,000 girls and 10,000 adult volunteers invested their time performing more than 533,000 hours of community service worth more than $13.5 million. Let those numbers sink in for a minute. That's the equivalent of a workforce of more than 266 people working full-time for an entire year. The financial impact is almost equal to our total Girl Scout Council budget for the entire year. Our impact as a Girl Scout movement on our community is that significant. From teaching their peers how to cope with stress, anxiety, and depression, to advocating for the elimination of single-use plastics, Girl Scouts are taking on real-world substantive issues and making a difference. This includes the 856 girls who earned their Bronze Award, the 553 girls who earned their Silver Award, and the 117 Gold Award Girl Scouts that our council recognized last year. 88% of our girls told us they feel like they can make a difference in the world through Girl Scouts. And I have seen for myself, our girls, and you, our caring adult leaders who help guide the way, are making a difference. In 2019, the Girl Scout movement continued to move at the speed of girls, releasing 42 new badges to give girls more choices about how they want to influence and experience the world. For the first time, Girl Scouts had the opportunity to earn high adventure badges in backpacking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, rock climbing, and tree climbing. While we don't do much snowshoeing here in Georgia, we discovered that we had lots of girls who were not just comfortable, but eager to get outside their comfort zones. And our rock climbing and tree climbing events sold out in hours. We also released new badges in cybersecurity, coding for good, space science, and citizen science. In our Girl Scout Council, that translated into 22,635 girls who learned real-world science, technology, engineering, and math skills through Girl Scout badge programs last year. Girls are building their STEM competence as well as their STEM confidence, all while learning how STEM can solve real-world challenges and make the world a better place. I'm even prouder to report that Girl Scouts of Greater Atlanta continues to be an organization for every girl, regardless of financial need. Our commitment to being a refuge for all girls during the pandemic has never been stronger or more important, as our Girl Scout families and sisters, including many of you who are here with us tonight, deal with job losses and furloughs, health crises, food and housing insecurity, and the challenges of trying to make it another day in an uncertain world. Know that we stand with you and are here to support you. Together with the support of our generous donors, we provided assistance ranging from membership support to activity fees to camp scholarships for 14,321 girls in 2019, or 40% of our total girl membership last year, which is part of our steadfast commitment to being a truly inclusive organization. We anticipate that this number will grow in the year ahead and that we will have to work harder and use more resources to reach girls from vulnerable communities. But there's no doubt in my mind that this is the most important work we do as Girl Scouts, and that every single girl who becomes a Girl Scout is worth that investment. So that's a lot of big numbers and impressive statistics about the impact of Girl Scouting. And I don't want to minimize the impact that we have collectively for a minute. Together, we have the power to do amazing things. But at the end of the day, the reason why we invest in the work of Girl Scouting is our ability to change the trajectory of an individual girl's life by opening up possibilities that might not be there otherwise. Recently, I got an email from one of those girls, Jordan Pasaya, who I first met as a rising senior in high school about 6 years ago. Jordan grew up in a single-parent family in Cobb County where resources were tight. No one in her family had attended college, and for a long time, it didn't really seem like much of a possibility for her. While some of her life circumstances were stacked against her, Jordan had two secret weapons in her corner, her mom and her Girl Scout troop. I have a clear memory of the first time I met Jordan at Camp CEO, a mentorship program that pairs high school-age Girl Scouts with female executives. At the Camp CEO career fair, Jordan marched up to me, her head held high, a confident smile on her face, stuck out her hand and said, "Hi, I'm Jordan. I've already been to 5 continents, and I'm going to my 6th continent by visiting Costa Rica with Girl Scout destinations this summer. I'm not sure how I'm going to get to Antarctica yet, but I'm working on it." It was maybe a 5-minute interaction, but I learned a lot about Jordan and the power of Girl Scouting in that short exchange. Jordan was and is a young woman who is literally going places, and Girl Scouts helped her get to many of them. Jordan joined Girl Scouts in 1st grade and went on to become a Gold Award Girl Scout in high school. Through Girl Scouting, Jordan learned to be confident, to know her own self-worth, and to expect great things from herself. She learned that if her family didn't have the resources for her to achieve her dream of traveling internationally, she could earn her way there through the Cookie program and applying for destination scholarships. As Jordan got older and got to experience programs like Camp CEO, she learned the power of networking and social capital. What started out in the 1st grade as getting up the confidence to talk to adults, to find more cookie customers and be a top cookie seller, turned into learning how to turn those connections with adults into internships, mentoring relationships, college recommendations, and job interviews. She learned she was not limited by her zip code or her family's economic circumstances, but only by her own imagination, ambition, and ability to invest in herself. Girl Scouts was so impressed by Jordan that we nominated her for a Posse Scholarship, a 4-year full tuition scholarship, which she was awarded to use at Boston University. In 2018, Jordan graduated with honors from BU with a Bachelor's of Science in Hospitality Management and Administration. Today, Jordan's working at LinkedIn and part of LinkedIn's Business Leadership Program, a program designed to identify and develop future business leaders. I have delighted in following Jordan's successes over the past several years and was thrilled when Jordan reached out to me recently to apply for our inaugural junior board, where she will have the opportunity to advise me and other leaders at our council on how to make our programs more relevant and meaningful for girls. So when you think about the girls that Girl Scouts impacts each year, think about Jordan and know that your investments in girls truly make a difference. While success will look different for every girl, each of them will have a world that is bigger in some way, possibilities that are greater, and hope for a brighter future because of the caring that is poured into them by each one of you, our troop leaders, service unit teams, Gold Award advisors, outdoor trainers, board and committee members, and other dedicated volunteers. You are making the world a better place, one girl at a time. While there are many important milestones that took place in our council in 2019, I'd be remiss if I did not take the opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous change and upheaval that has occurred since the end of our last fiscal year. 2020 isn't the year any of us were expecting. From a global pandemic that has infected more than 5.5 million Americans and killed 175,000, including a disproportionate number of Black and Latinx members of our community, to the rise of a movement that asks us to confront the lived experience of Black people in America, this year has challenged us. As the job losses add to that, job losses and furloughs, a volatile national economy, the challenges of supporting our children with digital learning, and trying to keep the physical and emotional health of our families intact. It has stretched many of us to the breaking point. Let's just pause, take a deep breath, and let that sink in. I want to acknowledge that this year has been really heavy for most of us. The fact that each of you is here tonight, the fact that you made the effort to show up and continue to commit to the work of Girl Scouting in these challenging times says a lot about who you are. It tells me that you are strong. It tells me you're courageous. It tells me you have the grit and perseverance to handle what life throws your way. It tells me that when life knocks you down, you know how to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. It doesn't mean that you don't have days when you feel overwhelmed, but it means that you have found inside of yourself the strength to keep moving forward. Recognize that your perseverance and this ability to keep moving forward is a gift. Not everybody has it. It's part of what sets us apart as Girl Scouts. And it means that each of you and we as a Girl Scout movement will not just survive, but thrive, even in challenging situations like the one we find ourselves in today. While the present moment feels challenging, I am nonetheless extraordinarily hopeful about our future. Let me share with you some of the things that are giving me hope. Girl Scouts and our council have continued to serve our community at even greater levels during the current pandemic. They include girls like Aditi, a senior Girl Scout from Troop 70022 in Johns Creek, who is supporting frontline healthcare workers by making and donating ear savers for surgical masks. They include Girl Scout Kamini from Gwinnett County, who is helping the increasing number of families dealing with food insecurity in the pandemic. They include the girls in Troop 19822 in Stockbridge and hundreds of girls in other troops who donated cookies to frontline workers, first responders, food pantries, and others in need through our Cookies of Kindness campaign. But our girls couldn't do it without the caring adults like you who support them. Our outstanding volunteers include troop leaders like Linda Vogt and Monique Richardson, who helped Cadet Troop 14404 in Marietta combine their cookie booths with a book drive to promote strong literacy for children, something that has become even more important as we look to prevent academic losses during the pandemic. When I think about the kind of servant leaders our country needs in the next generation, I can say with certainty that our country needs more Girl Scouts. I'm equally encouraged and inspired in how our girls in Greater Atlanta are leading the way on the issue of racial justice, and frankly challenging many of us as adults to step up our game and do better to address their concerns. As I talk to service units and leaders, as well as my counterparts around the country, it is clear to me that the issue of racial justice resonates with and is important to Girl Scouts of all races. The 20 girls on the National G Team, which is the group of older girls from around the country who advise Girl Scouts of the USA on the Girl Agenda for National Convention, universally sees the Black Lives Matter movement as an issue that is important for all Girl Scouts and on which they want to take action. I've seen that same groundswell and desire to take action right here in Atlanta. I've heard from many of you directly that you want our council to do more to support you in leading girls in this work. Let me say clearly that I hear you, and I am committed to the long-term, complex work to make Girl Scouts of Greater Atlanta a more actively anti-racist organization. Know that this work is just beginning, but I'm encouraged by the way that I already see girls taking the lead. The girls in Ambassador Troops 29345 and Troop 3000 recently reached out to me to ask for my help in facilitating a Girl Scout Diversity and Inclusion Forum. We supported the girls with online technology and coaching, but the girls really did the rest. They chose the panelists, wrote the interview questions, and set the format, and identified the research and resources they needed, taking on issues like white privilege, intersectionality, and unconscious bias. They exceeded their goal of 50 participants for their online forum with 82 attendees, and they're talking about what they want to do to continue the conversation next. but our girls can't carry this burden alone. As leaders in the Girl Scout movement, it is up to each of us to help girls find their voice on the issue of racial justice. For some of us, it means doing our own work toward greater learning and understanding, putting ourselves in someone else's shoes and sincerely trying to understand and appreciate the lived experiences of Black Americans in 2020. It means owning up to our own inconsistent history as a Girl Scout movement on the issue of race. While Martin Luther King identified Girl Scouts as a positive force for desegregation early in the civil rights movement, it also means acknowledging the history of segregation that exists in the movement. You heard earlier tonight in one of the videos from Jane Smith, whose aunt Vaseline Usher started the first Black Girl Scout troop in Greater Atlanta in the 1940s. While we are proud of the long-standing tradition of Girl Scouting in the Black community in our council, for too many years, that experience was separate and inherently unequal. It means acknowledging the lack of diversity within many school-based and faith-based troops that still exist today due to the institutional racism in our society that continues to define where we live, where our children go to school, and where we pray. It means that we own all of this history, good and bad, but that we are not defined or confined by it. Our founder, Juliette Gordon Low, said the work of today is the history of tomorrow, and we are its makers. We as Girl Scouts have an opportunity and an obligation to do the work to become an anti-racist organization. And I pledge to you our council will do this work as leaders in the Girl Scout movement. I hope that each of you will find the courage and the will to come along on this journey with us. In the recent email I sent to each of you on continuing our conversation on racial justice, we provided resources that you can use to begin your own learning. In the year ahead, we will continue to share resources and provide our members with opportunities for dialogue and learning on the issue of racial justice. Our girls are hungry to be able to have these conversations, and we as adults must be there to support them. Much as our girls have done on climate change, opening our eyes as adults to the harmful behaviors we engage in that are destroying our planet, our girls are often out in front of us as adults on the issue of racial justice. It's up to us to catch up and truly move at the speed of girls. In closing on this topic, let me say clearly that in our Girl Scout Council, Black Lives Matter, and the cause of racial justice, the desire to make the world a better place for all of us, is at the core of who we are as Girl Scouts and an integral part of our promise and law. I look forward to being on this journey with each of you. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit now about how programming has changed at Girl Scouts during the pandemic, the challenges we face, and what to expect in the new normal of the year ahead. When the pandemic hit the Greater Atlanta Council in March, we needed to respond quickly, and our Girl Scout Council showed we were up to the challenge. I couldn't be prouder of how our council quickly pivoted and made sure that we kept our girls and families, volunteers and staff safe, while continuing to provide high-quality leadership and learning experiences for girls and training and support for our volunteers. While this meant making some tough decisions, like not being able to offer in-person summer camp, it also meant that we did our parts as members of our community to limit the spread of COVID-19. We identified safety as our highest priority and made decisions based on science and the recommendations of trusted public health experts. Safety will continue to be at the forefront of our decisions over the next year, and we will continue to use public health data to guide our course of action until a vaccine is developed and COVID is eliminated as a significant public health threat. With troops not able to meet during the shelter-in-place this spring, our program and training teams sprang into action to continue to bring Girl Scouting to troops and individual girls virtually and online training to leaders. Within weeks, our program and camp teams were leading online programs for girls, like Facebook Live Storytime, with guests that include CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta, camp programs including live trail rides, sing-alongs, and the Brownie Outdoor Art Maker Badge broadcast live from our camps, high award workshops, and numerous STEM, outdoor, and other badges at all program levels. In the last few months, we've offered 24 different journeys with over 850 girls registered. Our training team piloted 3 new online trainings for troop leaders on how to use Zoom to engage girls online. And our virtual camp calling ended last week with more than 300 girls enjoying fun and sisterhood while earning badges and enjoying the special treat of Camp in a Box designed just for them. In addition, 1,250 girls from vulnerable community received Camp in a Box and STEM in a Box through our partnerships with school and community food distribution programs to make sure we were still fulfilling our commitment to serve vulnerable girls. Over the next year, we will continue to invest more in virtual and hybrid programs to lessen the burden on troop leaders and give girls more ability to choose programs that speak to their individual interests and needs. We will lean into our efforts to make sure we don't leave vulnerable girls behind as part of our commitment to put diversity, equity, and inclusiveness at the center of everything we do and how we design and deliver programs. For leaders, we'll continue to support you in understanding ways to engage girls in a virtual environment and also make volunteering easier, knowing that your plates are fuller than ever. And we will support both girls and leaders in finding ways to meet in person to the extent it's safe to do so. Our 3 council camps will be a key part of the in-person Girl Scout experience over the next year. And I encourage you to look for opportunities to come to camp with your family or troop in the months ahead. One of the biggest programming challenges for our council in the year ahead will be reaching new Girl Scouts and leaders. With many in-person schools closed, the irony is that girls need us more than ever, but it's exponentially harder to reach them. During the pandemic, girls are facing greater social isolation, increased anxiety and depression, and risk falling behind academically. Girl Scouts can help them make new friends, explore their interests, and reinforce what they're learning in their virtual classes. And we want every girl who wants to be a Girl Scout to have that opportunity. Tonight, I'm asking for help from all of you to get the word out that while many other after-school activities are closed, Girl Scouts is open for business and eager to welcome new girls and volunteers. We have virtual troop experiences ready to welcome new girls who don't have a troop leader and enhanced support for every new leader who joins us this year. So please share our posts on social media, put up a yard sign, and let your PTA and school principal know that Girl Scouts is here to help. If you have other creative ideas about how to get the word out this year about the power of Girl Scouting to new members, I'd love to hear from you. Each of you is a great ambassador for Girl Scouts, and many of our best ideas come from you, our Girl Scout families and volunteers. With COVID hitting our community in the middle of cookie season, we also had to pivot to ensure that our troops had a way to complete the cookie program and have the funds to fuel their Girl Scout adventures over the next year. In just 9 days, the Girl Scout movement stood up the Eat, Care, Share program that provided a national cookie link to consumers for the first time, allowing customers who didn't know a Girl Scout to order cookies to be delivered to their door. In Atlanta, this resulted in $250,000 in additional cookie revenue, which allowed us to forgive the nearly $200,000 in bad debt that resulted from unsold cookies during the pandemic this year. It also allowed us to distribute more than $50,000 in additional funds to troops that paid for all of their cookies, even if they weren't able to sell them. Locally, our Cookies of Kindness campaign resulted in troops and our council donating more than 17,000 boxes of cookies to first responders, healthcare heroes, and food banks in our community. I am proud of how we made lemon ups out of lemons in the cookie program this year, which means that we will have the financial resources to continue to serve you, our girls and volunteers, over the next year. Since we don't expect to have a vaccine by the 2021 cookie season, we're planning for a fully contactless cookie season. This means we're investing in more digital tools to help girls run their cookie businesses online and accept contactless payments. It means we are scouting sites for drive-through cookie booths and planning to do a contactless count and go. It means we're thinking creatively about how to help girls connect with potential customers in this new environment. I know that the folks who work with me at Council don't have a monopoly on good ideas, so this is another area where I'd love to hear from you. If you have creative ideas for how girls can run their cookie business during the pandemic, please share it with our team. I want to end tonight by saying that I hope I've left you with a few more reasons to be hopeful about our future as Girl Scouts and how Girl Scouts are making the future for our community brighter. Our girls fill me each day with tremendous hope in the generosity and kindness that they've shown for others during the pandemic. But it's not just our girls, but our leaders, our volunteers, and each of you that continue to impress me with your Girl Scout spirit. The caring you've shown for our girls, volunteers, and each other stands as an example for others to follow about how to be brave, strong, and courageous in difficult times. So even on those days when it feels a little overwhelming, I hope you'll think back to this night when we were together, remember the Girl Scout spirit and sisterhood we shared, and find the strength to keep moving forward. Know that in the difficult days ahead, our council staff and I are all here to support you in the work you do in service to you each day. While I'm not in the council office, my virtual door remains open to each of you at any time, and I welcome your feedback on how our team can better support you in your Girl Scout journey. Our girls in our community are depending on us now more than ever, but I know that together we are stronger and up for the challenge. May God bless you and keep you, your families, your troops, and your service units in good health over this next year. Thank you for all that you do to keep Girl Scouts going strong during these challenging days.